there's one city which is basking in the glory of a housing market going in one direction, that's up, is Hyderabad. The highest percentage growth in sales and a steady price increase over the last 5 years is what has made this city stand out. Our question on today's property show, how long will the party continue? Nanda Kishore, MD Ramky Estates, Sreenivas Reddy, ED of Rajapushpa Properties and Veera Babu, Managing Director, Hyderabad, Cushman Wakefield, will answer the buy or sell questions we have for Hyderabad. Also on our property explainer, the hotly debated loading factor in real estate, which is the most confusing one for home buyers to understand. Jayashree Naveen Chandra from ZS Law will tell us how can you calculate the load and why two flats both at 50,000 rupees per square feet are not a straightforward comparison. All right, on to Hyderabad first. We've actually got amongst the top 5 developers, 2 of them. So, Mr. Nanda Kishore, I'm going to first come to you. Hyderabad had a lot of catching up to do after the political tussle between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh was settled. And I'm seeing that both in the prices and the demand for homes. But do you think that this rate of growth is now going to be moderated?
I think first of all, we have to understand that there was a lull in the Hyderabad residential market for close to 8 to 9 years, starting from 2009 onwards till 2018. And it's only from 2018 that we have seen a lot of traction in the residential. So there was a lot of catch up to do, as you rightly pointed out. That is number one. The second part, what was also fueling the demand is that during the COVID time and post-COVID, what has happened is people have woken up to the fact that they need to improve their quality of living, and which is why they are looking at gated communities. They are looking at better quality of housing, and that is another factor which is propelling the demand. We are also seeing another segment of demand, which is the upgrading of the residences from smaller units to larger units. This is the third thing. Apart from this, I think there is a fundamental belief in the Hyderabad story, which is what is driving the entire growth. And if everyone believes Hyderabad has got it going for itself in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the employment generation, in terms of political stability, and all the other, associated, I would say, strong points of Hyderabad. These are some of the reasons which are pushing the demand. Now, the question whether will it sustain, I think even today, the prices in Hyderabad are relatively lesser than many of the tier 2 towns across the country. So arbitrage is playing its game. We are seeing a lot of people, people from the northern part of the country, western part of the country, who come to Hyderabad and find the prices are very, very reasonable for the product that is on offering, for the locations that are on offering. So that is also another major factor. So the pricing is still, I would say, very much reasonable, and that is what is making people to invest money.
I would agree with you. I'll come back to you, sir. I'll agree with you on the pricing, though. I was looking at the price movement charts, and from 4,090 rupees per square feet in 2016, despite that lull that you're talking about, if I see the prices today blended, and this is blended for both affordable housing and premium housing, they've now come up to just 5,800 rupees per square feet. So it's not a very large number. In fact, I don't think you can buy almost anything in any of the other larger cities at that price. And now look at what is the price that you will pay, a blended rate for homes which are under 50 lakh rupees in Hyderabad. You will pay 3,800 rupees per square feet, and for premium apartments which go up to 2 crores, it's still around 5,900 rupees per square feet. So Mr. Reddy, the thing is that is it likely to become unaffordable very soon? Because the rates have risen quite substantially in the last 3 to 4 years. Now that the catch-up has happened, do you believe going forward, like all other cities, you will only see a 5 to 6% or maybe not even that much price rise? What's your own sense in terms of the demand and supply?
Based on the demand and supply, Manisha, I think we are still in a very good area for the next 2 to 3 years, I feel, in Hyderabad. Comparing the prices, what we have in Hyderabad to compare with Bangalore and Chennai, we are at least 20% less than them. So I would see in the near short-term future, if it's 1 year, and a long-term after 3 years also, I feel Hyderabad as a way to go in prices also. And considering the infrastructure that we have in Hyderabad, the education sector, the health sector, and overall the culture that Hyderabad has, anyone who comes to the city in 6 months to 1 year would like to have their home, their kids grow up in Hyderabad. And these factors will keep Hyderabad being the bright spot in the country for at least 5 to 10 years, I feel, with the kind of infrastructure that we have, and most parts of Hyderabad
so
is
sir,
developing.
from 2 years, you're saying 5 to 10 years. Well, there is still a lot of room in terms of the price movement and the price arbitrage, like you said, between Chennai and Hyderabad and Bangalore and Hyderabad. Okay, Veera Babu, the story of Hyderabad is, of course, also like a Bengaluru or a Chennai. Chennai, of course, has lost the race a little bit, is very closely linked to India's growth as the GCC, captive center for IT and ITES in India. But in the last, we will all have to agree that there has been a lull in leasing. We don't know when people are going to come back to office. Especially the IT companies are not giving us any clear-cut answers. Do you believe that could be a dampener, or you don't think so?
So, Manish, I think I don't think so that's going to be dampened. If you look at the fundamentals of the leasing from a long-term standpoint, is still intact. So I fully agree that there's uncertainty on the short term. So that probably lost not more than 3 to 6 months, subject to third wave, what are the VC predicting or people are predicting it. So from a long-term story is intact, and the way Mr. Sreenivas or Mr. Nanda Kishore has mentioned, so the acceptance of the city as the people who are coming from outside is much, much stronger high, given the very strong and robust infrastructure, the continual development of infrastructure. And the government is also emphasizing to create more growth corridors, especially
I'm going to ask you a very simple question. The last time I went to Gachibowli, I was stuck in the traffic for I was crawling in the traffic in the high-tech city. All right. So what has changed? I mean, this was, of course, pre-COVID that I'm talking about. All three of you have mentioned infrastructure. Can you give us some substantial, physical infrastructure which is making the city more livable? And as it expands, it is going to remain one of the most, sought after by home buyers.
So to adapt that first point is that SRDP is the plan which government was initiated a couple of years back, and they use this pandemic and able to complete a lot of link roads, which is congesting to especially Madhapur and Gachibowli southwestern corridor. They completed a couple of flyovers. They added new roads. There are almost about 7-8 link roads are created to decongest the IT corridors. From a growth perspective, they're doing phenomenally on the infrastructure side. So again, they're doing airport expansion also, they're doing it. And there's another important point for Hyderabad is that outer ring road, where it's just anybody who's on the stretch will be able to exit and go around the city to other parts of the town much faster than any other city. I think that's the best advantage, especially for the IT corridors largely concentrated in the southwestern part of the city.
Fair enough. So I need to visit Hyderabad very quickly and again to witness all of that.
You see a lot of change in last 1.5 years.
Okay.
When you come this time, Gachibowli, you can see a more newer roads built or under construction than newer flyovers.
I'll take your word for it. Mr. Nanda Kishore, so before I come to you, I'm going to read out this graphic which has come from, to us. From License for Us. Now, everyone is upgrading. So, I'm going to first actually read out the 75 lakh to 2 crore, the 3 BHKs and the slightly premium localities, which are the ones which have seen the fastest sales. So, there's Kokapet, which is over 1,000 units, which have been sold. Gachibowli, of course, we keep talking about it. That is the high-tech city that we speak of. Kondapur, Kukatpalli and Miapur. Now, under 50 lakhs, which is the affordable segment, your top 5 selling are Kompally, there's Bachupalli, there's Pantacheru, Kukatpalli and Rajendra Nagar. So, these are some of the top selling markets. Mr. Nanda Kishore, where would so I know that even today Gachibowli is very sought after. There's Kokapet, which is selling very heavily. But are there any spots or micro markets that you would pick out as the future growth corridors?
I think the eastern corridor, which is the Uppal Gatkesar belt, that is going to be one of the hotspots going forward, both in terms of pricing and also there are some of the top developers are moving into that location. And we are also seeing some good traction in and around the airport area, which again is becoming a hot destination, particularly for villas, and of late many apartment projects have started coming up there. So these are the two areas. And we are also looking at the belt from airport to Medipatnam, which covers the earlier industrial area of Gaganpad and those locations. And of course, there are places like LB Nagar and beyond also, which are again good spots where we can see some traction and good growth. So Hyderabad is now, I can see there is a slight shift from the west towards other parts of the city also. And that I think augurs well for the city as well. And one more important point I wanted to also make, the price increase that we are also talking of is also largely cost push price increase rather than demand pull, because the developer margins haven't really improved much because it is May. The cost has gone up because of the GST factor, because the GST input credit is no longer available to the developers. And also as you know, the cost of inputs have really gone high, right from steel, cement, electrical and everything.
I agree on that. All right, so you're saying from the west now you can see a movement towards east, and especially around the airport. I mean, even from Gachibowli, actually reaching the airport had become very smooth because of the road, or the ring road as you call it. Mr. Reddy, your three top locations, one is to give directions, but if you can just pick out three micro markets which you think could be the ones to watch out for in the coming years.
Yeah, I would say Tellapur would be a pick, which has very a good connection to the financial district, Gachibowli, and to the airport. It's hardly 2 kilometers away from the ORR. Narsingi, it's already picked up. It's one of the top thing right now. And Uppal is having a lot of traction now, and a lot of good projects are coming near and around Uppal. These three places I would take any of these three places.
All right, Veera Babu, your picks. Give me micro market names. Those are easier then for our audience to understand.
So just I think as mentioned, the eastern side, especially the Uppal, because of TOD, the metro connectivity to the IT corridor is picking up. It gives a lot of cost advantage for the people who want to focus. I think might definitely bet somebody looking at really a reasonable cost, it can be Uppal. Somebody of close to walk to work or to be a closer proximity to what's happening are in a premium segment. That's, as mentioned, Gachibowli, Narsingi and Kokapet, those are the pockets which can look at that way. From an affordability perspective, a lot of secondary corridors in close proximity to these IT corridors are coming up. This place called Gandla Pochimpalli, Aminpur, Malapur, those can be still been affordable locations where you can still get a bill of floors at 50 lakhs and below. So those are the pockets you can pick up.
All right. Well, all of Hyderabad seems to be quite very affordable, and under 50 lakhs is still quoting at under 4,000 rupees per square feet. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I mean, I must say that this was the first city that I lived in after I got married. So I do have a soft corner, as they say, for Hyderabad. It is a city which is very welcoming to outsiders. So thanks again for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.